How you doing, YouTube? Matt Massive Beer Reviews, back with a beer I've actually kind of wanted to review for quite some time. That would be El Segundo's Steve Austin's Broken Skull India Pale Ale. Yeah. I don't know why I've wanted to review this. I don't know, something about it. I'm not a big wrestling guy, so I'm not going to sit here and say I love Steve Austin. I like El Segundo as a brewery, but something about it. I don't know. Always wanted to review it. It's a West Coast IPA. Who doesn't want to do those nowadays? And yeah, my buddy Mike, we did a kind of socially distanced kind of beer handoff today. This was in the 4-pack that he gave me. What is this? Broken Skull India Pale Ale, a badass 6.7, sorry, dyslexia, 6.7% IPA designed by Steve Austin and El Segundo Brewing Company for the working man and woman. It features Citra, Cascade, and Chinook hops to deliver big flavor with an easy finish. Now stop reading and start enjoying this beer. Cheers. Yeah. This is relatively fresh. It's like maybe a skosh over a month old. Being a West Coast IPA, that should be more than enough of time to stay fresh. That sounds weird, but you know what I mean. Likewise, it's alright. You know, it's kind of cheesy. It's barbed wire and a skull, but wrestling's cheesy, so kind of makes sense. But yeah, it is what it is. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? That looks like a West Coast IPA. Not really, but kind of. The clarity of it kind of makes you think of an old school IPA. When I think of old school IPA, I think of West Coast IPA. But it's lighter than what you typically expect from a West Coast IPA, and it's got a ton of particulate floating around it. That I did not expect. So I'm kind of curious to see how this one kind of plays out. Pinky finger, infinitely white head, pretty uniform bubbles, this soapy kind of rocky edge to it. And like I said, it's got this soft... the particulate in it is big. It's not like a haze. I'm not quite sure how it's going to come off on camera for you guys, but I mean, that is just this. Oh, it's not chunky, but the particulate's big enough to where you could almost strain it out and have a crystal clear beer. So, from that aspect, it's kind of odd. I don't mind it though. Don't mind a little bit of bits and pieces floating around in my beer, nor should you. Anyway, let's get a nose. Doesn't really smell like a 6.7, almost 7% kind of IPA. It's quite gentle on the nose when it comes to the hop. Almost so much so that the malt is kind of a leader in the clubhouse here. It's like a crispy, kind of crackery malt, something you'd associate more with like Kolsch or lager, with this nice soft kind of citrus, not overtly West Coast kind of piney kind of nose to it. It smells infinitely clean, infinitely crisp. Just not super impactful. And like I said, at the time of filming, this be, okay, month and a half old. Let's put it that way. But this beer should hold up to that. Let's just dive in. Cheers. It's not bad. It's not bad. Citrus leaning. Almost like to the point where it's like a zesty grapefruit. It's not like a fleshiness. Like a lemon, grapefruit, citrus zestiness to it. Not a ton of like danky or rankiness to it. You expect, you know, your Cascade and Chinook, I think, are the two ones they called out in there. Yeah, you expect you get this piney resinous in there. While it does have this soft kind of pininess floating underneath, it's not all that big. It reminds me of a lot of the West Coast pale ales that are like in like the 4 and 5% range. It's not overly sweet, but that malt is present. It definitely has that kind of crackery thing going on. It really does remind me of like an IPL, like an India Pale Lager that has been hopped with some old school kind of hopping. That Citra bringing that big citrus component, that lemon grapefruit thing, and that little bit of soft pininess coming in with that Chinook and Cascade. I like it. I think it's tasty. You sit me on a deck somewhere out west, you hand me a pint of this from a brewery I just walked into, I'm good to go. Sure, the ABV in a perfect world would be a little bit smaller. It is what it is. But it's not a bad beer by any stretch of the imagination. And pretty tasty stuff. I mean, it's not gonna wow you. I mean, if you're looking for West Coast balls to the wall kind of craziness, this beer's not gonna do it for you. But let's put it this way. Strip this beer from my catalog in my brain. Like I said, I'm gonna give you a beer that was made by an old wrestler in a brewery. I'd expect worse. Let's put it that way. It's tasty. It's fun. It's a West Coast IPA that appeals to a larger crowd without being overtly resinous. might be what they were shooting for. So yeah, I like it. I think it's tasty. I think it's fun. I think it's drinkable. It gives me what I want, but it doesn't get over the top. So I think it'll appeal to a larger swath of people. Done and done. Is it one of the best West Coast IPAs? Because that's what I'd classify it as. West Coast IPAs that I've had as of late. No. But tasty nonetheless. Value and availability. You can get this everywhere pretty much now. Price point, I don't know. Mike, let me know what you paid for this and leave you with if you like what we like this beer. If you like a West Coast IPA, but you want it on a more kind of, I don't want to say that a generic tip because I don't think it's overtly generic, but a more milder tip. If that's what you're looking for, this will do you. So there you go. Another review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Down there if you want to talk about it. Massive Beers if you want to check me out doing the social media stuff. Beer Massive. If you want to check me out doing the whole podcasting thing. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully enjoying a little West Coast right now. Hope to see you next time. Cheers.